Hey guys, welcome back to A Plot of Confusion. I'm your host, Derek. And if you know my podcast, I have a podcast that's on Spotify that's called Plot of Confusion. Um, One thing I want to talk about is things that are coming out about Charlie Kirk. Um, Now, I have my theories, and a lot of other people have their theories. But the first thing I want to do is first make sure you understand that everything that is being said, do your own research. Make sure you understand that. Don't take anything that's being said as end all be all. Uh, so in other words, it's for your entertainment purposes only. It's just to get people thinking, looking at, and and talking about what happened yesterday, and that's something that I think is very important to do. And just like I do my milk in the morning, it does the body good to have your brain going. So the first thing I want to definitely do was show you the things that's coming out from the FBI, and we will go from there. So the first thing is, let me put this up right here. Mute myself.
Track the movements of the shooter. Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled um, off of the campus and into a neighborhood. Our investigators have worked through those neighborhoods, contacting anybody they can with doorbell cameras, witnesses, and have thoroughly worked through those communities, trying to identify any leads. We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that at this time. We are working through some technologies and some ways to identify this individual. If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we are confident in our abilities right now, and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe and moves this process appropriately.
Next thing I'm going to pull up is the DoorDash camera. The individual that they're talking about using, which is right through here. Um, so these are the areas that looks like that they were walking through. Um, the police going to the scene. Um, so this lets you see that side of it, and the other thing is right here. I want to share this now. I want it to be clear that what is being shared here is for you to look at, look up, and you make your own decision. Don't take any of this stuff as end all be all factual. Don't sit here and um, we're just reacting to this. We're only to and share what information that is out there. Again, like I hate to say it, but entertainment purposes only. Um, don't take any of this as end all be all factual. Just, take it in and you come up with your own conclusions. Please do your own research. And first and foremost, please pray for his family. So we're going to take a listen. I'm going to back this up. The channel, the body language guy. I watch his stuff on a lot of body languages of people that's in interviews or and stuff like that. So when I saw that he had this, I was like, okay, I really would like to share the body language, because I have always been very much intrigued by people being able to read someone by their body language. So we're going to back this up here, and got the sound. I'm gonna bring it up a little bit, and so here we go.
When I saw the clips were way more not only about Jeffrey Epstein's activities, but the possible connections with the intelligence agencies over the world. And Mossad popped up. And we have two clips. This one was from 1 month ago, right?
Do you think there's any intel community involvement in this?
I wouldn't be surprised one bit. I am convinced, based on my own sources and my own reporting on this story, he wasn't one of ours.
So he was an American, which leads basically three options: MI6, Saudi, or Mossad.
Yep.
Which one would you choose?
I guess Mossad, given his connection to Ghislaine Maxwell.
So what does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's possible that that's the reason everything's getting buried, that there is some treasure trove.
How many people here believe that? Raise your hand. Okay, I'd say about half the hands think that it's being buried because of an Israeli thing.
Now I want to reiterate, this is just their opinion. There's nothing that is absolute factual. This is just and everyone has opinion. Like everybody, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, political side of it. Um, I even have said in my own opinion that you have your right and your left, and it's both from the same bird. So they're both laughing together. But that's just my opinion. It's not, you can take it you know, as satire, funny, makes no sense. He's retarded, it's whatever you want to. But I want to make sure you understand for entertainment purposes only. So they're just throwing out a theory. A theory. That's the great thing about being the United States of America is that we can throw out our theories all we want to because it's just words. It's not, the end all be all. But let's listen a little bit more. Okay.
The one time Pam Bondi was asked a question about this at the cabinet meeting, she was like, and as for whether he was an agent,
Alexander Acosta in 2007, he said he was told to treat Epstein carefully because he was an intel asset.
well, and let me tell you the consequences of that. His subpoena, his search warrant on Jeffrey Epstein's residence was very narrow. It was not the kind of like, let's get everything. Let's see everything inside this guy's, dressers and so on. It was very, very narrowly tailored. And to this day, that's what the FBI is stuck with.
Okay, that is maybe a bit too limited. It was just a conversation with Megyn Kelly in public, and it was mostly suggesting and maybe asking Megyn Kelly what she thought about the topic. I said that okay, that is maybe not enough, but then I saw this one from the Charlie Kirk show. This one.
Now I saw this, and this was about a year ago. Um, that Charlie was bringing this up, and the one thing I do personally think is interesting is the fact that um, anytime a narrative or a thought or someone's opinion is contrary to what they want the working theory to be, you typically hit them with either a lawsuit or you hit them with their monetary where they don't get as many backers or commercials and stuff like that. So, looking at Candace Owens and looking at Millie Kelly and and Charlie, Charlie was the one that went out one on one. It wasn't that his channel was his only source. He with universities. So um, it's kind of like with Martin Luther King. When you have someone that is a nut job, a a person that has no problems with doing that to somebody because they don't like um, they don't like what they're saying publicly. So, you know, it does go back to Epstein, the files and stuff like that. And so we're going to now listen to this part here.
Was 1 year ago, 2024, January 4th, 2024. Charlie Kirk correctly identifies Jeffrey Epstein as an agent of Israel. Let's also watch this.
Realize that Epstein, with his little friend Ghislaine and Ghislaine's father, Robert Maxwell, who was obviously a spy of the Israeli intelligence agencies, that there was something else going on here. Epstein was not some sort of whiz kid hedge fund manager. Epstein was playing a part. Epstein was a LARPer. Epstein was cast for a specific role, and he played it really well. The sweatpants and the Harvard jacket, the kind of disheveled hair, looking as if he was so smart and above the clouds that he was doing advanced mathematic equations on the back of napkins. But if you actually go into some of the videos of people that met with Epstein at the time, they said he was awfully unimpressive when it came to finance and markets and economics.
I have heard those reports that Epstein himself was not that smart, that for a physics teacher, right? Okay, he could be of a very limited understanding of yeah, the topics that the people that he surrounded himself with dominated. So maybe his true knack, his true ability was getting people together or get to connect people, what we know as networkers. Maybe Jeffrey Epstein was a great networker, and at the same time, a networker is a very useful asset if you're an intelligence agency, because that's a way that you can connect people with people and say, hey, you know what? But Charlie Kirk said that much better than I in the rest of the clip.
It's nothing new that if you're in the intel agencies, you want to try and get as much blackmail on powerful people as possible. Easy, not hard. And this is no longer just speculation. First of all, the evidence that shows that Epstein was a creation of either Mossad, Israeli intelligence, American intelligence, Saudi intelligence, or maybe he was just a hired gun. Maybe he was just the guy that countries would go to and park a couple $100 million and say, hey, can you get one of the members of the royal family with a 13-year-old so we can get them to do what we want to do? Members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis. Jeffrey Epstein was not a financier. He was not a hedge fund manager. Jeffrey Epstein was a key player in a multi-decade blackmail operation against the most powerful people on the planet.
So this one question, that I have, I said mistakenly that this clip was from 1 month ago. It was actually from 2 months ago, July 12th, 2025, when he was talking with Megan Kelly about the topic. One thing is 1 year ago in January 2024, but one thing is right now when Trump is in office. You know how the scandal of all the Jeffrey Epstein stuff and how Trump has addressed it, and whatever Pam Bondi has done with that case, it has been uncomfortable to see all the shenanigans happening. But then you see that just 2 months ago, Charlie Kirk was still having conversations and inviting his guests to have conversations about the possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was not just a random guy who knew how to connect people to one another, which is basically a human LinkedIn, but no, he was actually an intelligence asset. So I know that Charlie Kirk was really emotional when Trump became president of the United States. So the part that I don't understand is, why does he keep bringing this up? And my only theory about this is that he really believed that this had to do with some kind of intelligence agency, maybe from the United States, maybe from the MI6, maybe from the Saudis, but in his own words, highly likely from Mossad, Israeli intelligence. So, why would he kick that hornet's nest 2 months ago? And knowing everything that was going on.
And that's the question a lot of people ask. But the thing is that Charlie was all about communication. He was also about transparency. Um, and if you know anything about what has happened with the Epstein files, you have where the platform was we're going to release all the information. When we get into power, we're going to release the information. And then it was, well, we're not going to release some of the information because of the victims and stuff like that. And then it was, you had it where then it was, there is some sensitive matters. We can't release it now. To then being, why are we still talking about this? This was a Democrat woke agenda. And, Trump became very aggressive about anyone in the media asking questions about the Epstein file. And with that, it became this aggression. And then all of a sudden, it was this deflection. And then it was this denial that any of this happened. But yet we have people in jail. I mean, we have victims that are, and I'll just share this. And so I want to show, how this is affecting the people that's close around him and how real this is. And it's why, um, one thing that I liked about Charlie was the fact he loved to have this open debate. And he was about opening this debate and making you aware of it. So I want to share this right here.
Defeated death so you can live. On Saturday, Jesus defeated death so you can live. That's what he did. That's what he wants us all to do. That's what we will do. There's no question we will go on and we will continue our messaging. But it's going to hurt. This one's going to hurt. I told you about President Trump's statement. Joe Biden, to his credit, also tweeted out, "There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now." Jill and I are praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. It's a sweet gesture. Ben Shapiro, too, just tweeted something out. He's been under threat, too. Poor Ben. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Why? Why does Ben have to have so many security guards? He came here to the studio on Monday. I think it was a week ago. Monday. The poor guy has to walk around with so much security because why again? Why? Because he comments on the news and says things people find controversial, but all of which are mainstream opinions on the right because he's a Jew who's outspoken in favor of Israel. What? This is where we're going. This is what he wrote. Like all of you, I'm utterly stunned and heartbroken and sick to my soul today. It is unimaginable to write these words. I met Charlie Kirk when he was 18 years old. A young man, so eager and determined that I immediately turned to a friend and said, "This kid is going to be the head of the RNC one day." Charlie became even bigger and more important than that. It was a privilege to watch the principled man stand up for his beliefs and create the single most important conservative political organization in America. Totally right. But more importantly, Charlie was a good man, a man who believed in right and wrong, who stood by his biblical values. All of us will miss him, and I can't imagine the pain of his beautiful young family. And we must all pray for them. And we must pick up the baton where Charlie left it, fighting for the things he believed in so passionately. And we must fight for a better America.
In America, where good people can speak truth and debate passionately without fear of a bullet. I weep for Charlie's family.
And that's what I want to say. Even Ben Shapiro, who is a Jew, um, is under this whole, you know, people that have a different opinion, um, which is shocking. And you should be allowed to have a different opinion. You shouldn't live in fear because of what your thoughts are. But when you have one side that weaponizes the media and you have people in power that don't want uh, the narrative to be questioned in any shape, form, or fashion. And I want to make it clear that I love the Jewish people. I don't think the people are the regular people are the problem. I want it to be known that, there should be no anti-Semitic, in any way, or attacks against people of any faith. Um, that's why, I'm bringing you these clips. But again, for entertainment purposes only, you do your own research. You look into it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take the mainstream media's word for it. Don't take it. You come up with your own ideas. You come up with your own thoughts. And in that, figure out a way how to make it positive, how you can help bring about a positive narrative where you can be helpful, energetic, um, bringing, yes, bring the conversation, but do it peacefully. You know, yeah, we don't need to have gun violence, but guns are not what is violent. The people behind the inanimate object, that's the violence. That's where it comes from. What is in their heart? What is in their heart? That's what's the evil side of things. There's some of the Bible verses I think are very important to understand that, God tells us in Jeremiah 17:10, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord Yahuwah ponders the hearts. Would not have God have discovered, since he knows the secret of the heart. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can understand it? Blessed are the poor in heart, for they seek God. These verses, are to let you know that, God knows the heart. He knows the intent. He knows what's going on. Um, Psalms 139, 1 and 2. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You preserve my thoughts, perceive my thoughts from afar. Um, we have to understand that God knows our hearts, and these Bible verses here goes to show you that you know Charlie knew the Bible and he read his Bible and he shared. But I want to show you something that I find very, 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 very disheartening. University of Michigan. Professor says Charlie Kirk's assassination is a solution to violent rhetoric. Really? In my podcast, I talked about um, how universities are indoctrinating our 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 children. And this is a guy that is supposed to this professor is in charge of the minds of the future of America. This is why Charlie went out there and he actually spoke against violence. But what just puzzles me is the fact that you have um the side that's supposed to be about love and all inclusive and you can identify whatever you want to, but yet unless your ideas line up with mine, you don't need to be here anymore. Find it interesting that the side that throws God out and has nothing to do with the creator, they worship the creation. You have where they throw out everything that's biblical and they go and say, we don't need the Bible anymore because, hey, we can, govern ourselves. We don't need to believe in a higher power that's going to judge us. We can judge ourselves, and in our own humanity, we're going to be better than anything that God, Jesus Christ, can do. But yet, this is the heart of man. This is the heart of man. This is what you do when you throw out God. You don't want them to have an opinion that doesn't align with your opinion, and you throw it out, and you have some of the most hateful and hurtful things ever. I mean, yeah, right here it says, um, University of Michigan. Gosh, I hate that he has the same last name. Michigan, Professor Charles H. F. Davis stated on Thursday that the assassination at Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk is a solution to violent rhetoric spewed by empowered people. That's funny because Charlie wasn't an empowered person. He actually was 18 years old, and with $10,000 that he had saved, started Turning Point USA. He didn't go to college. He was a self-man made, and he worked hard to get what he had. And you have this supposed to be a higher educated person. Davis search Bradley focused on racism, oppression, structural domination of the U.S. higher education, according to the Midwesterner. In addition to defying Kurt's murder, Davis retweeted several posts that celebrated the assassin because he had a different opinion. I mean, this is this is what they do. I mean, right now, um, I'm a big uh comic book guy. Uh, I love comics, and you have someone like this, where, was a writer for Red Hood, a comic book that I was actually interested in reading, was excited for because I liked the character, and he's finally going to get his own series. But this writer comes out for DC Comics, and it thing, um, who is a part of the train movement, decides to make jokes and other things about Charlie Kirk's death. And the one good thing I can say that DC did, they fired her. They fired the he shit. Boom, gone. Bye bye. Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out. I still think that people can have their opinions and that they can speak their opinions. That's the whole great thing about America, speaking your opinion. But I understand that you might not agree with somebody politically, but you should never. And see, the freedom of speech does not give freedom of violence. Constitution doesn't say freedom of violence. Constitution says freedom of speech, not freedom of violence. And to glorify and to push the rhetoric of glorifying and saying that about someone goes against freedom of speech, because now you're calling for violence, and that's not part of freedom of speech. Speech is a two-way conversation where violence should never be in between. And as I was working on this video, coming to the end, right now, this is the image of the person that the FBI is looking for. They've offered a $100,000 reward of this person of interest in Charlie's shooting of his death. So as I was editing and doing stuff, I saw this and I wanted to make sure I had it here at the very end of the video. I just want you to have the takeaway is that you're going to have a lot of stupid people out there that will glorify this. I'm telling you that no one, it doesn't matter if you agree with them or disagree with them. If you disagree with them, come up with a better argument to prove them wrong, but use your words, not violence. And remember what you've seen here, the all of it, is for entertainment purposes only, to get you to do your own research, to look into it yourself. Thank you so much for being with me. Until next time, please pay attention to your surroundings, because you never know what lies around the corner. God bless.